Hey guys, it's Grace, and I don't know if you can hear me right now, but I am outside and I am going to be chilling here filming a video for you guys on a book review. So I think this is my second book review that I've done on this channel, if I'm right, but I'm not exactly sure because I might have done it on my other channel. But yeah, and if you see like a run in the background, I don't know if you can see it or not because it's too bright and I can't see anything, but if you see that, that's just my dog, so just ignore it. I'm going to talk about The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So for those of you who haven't read it, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is by Stieg Larsson, I think that's how you say the name. It was a book that was originally written in Swedish, so they had to translate it into a bunch of different languages. And if you haven't heard of the trilogy series, I'm very surprised because it's a very, very popular adult novel. Some basic facts about the book is that it is, I guess you could say, like a realistic fiction book. It's not really like a fantasy book or a sci-fi book or anything like that. It's very realistic fiction, and it is a very, very adult novel. So I would recommend, if you are in 8th grade or younger, I would definitely not recommend reading this book. I would say you'd have to be at least going into your freshman year in high school and a very avid reader if you want to read this book, because some of the language and like the characters are a little bit oddly named, so it's kind of a struggle in the beginning to get into the novel. I definitely didn't get into the novel until like the first 100 or 150 pages were gone. So it's kind of, it's like most books. I mean, it takes a little bit to get into. It's definitely worth reading, but it has some very mature scenes, some very graphic scenes that if you have issues with stuff like rape and there's a couple anorexia scenes and murder and stuff like that, then you definitely do not want to be reading this book, especially if it's a trigger for any of you, which obviously some of you may be for. So no, definitely take that all into account. If you don't like that kind of stuff, if you don't like reading that kind of stuff, if you don't like reading more realistic adult novels, then it's definitely not for you. If you do, however, then you are in luck, because I feel like it's a very well-written novel. It's probably on the list of books that are considered literary merit, I guess you could say. And for those of you who don't know what literary merit is, it's basically just a book, well, from the definitions that I've looked up, it's a book that you learn something from. So it's not like just one of those books that you kind of just read and there's not really a moral or a concept that you could take from it. So I'll put the actual definition right here though. So yeah, there's that. It is a trilogy, so it does kind of leave you hanging a little bit, but I feel like that book, at least, I haven't read the other two books yet, but that book at least could probably stand on its own because they wrap up the story pretty well. So for those of you who don't know the story, it is about a journalist who is sued and put in jail for libel. If you don't know what libel is, I'll put the definition here. It's basically like slander in the media. When you say something that isn't true, you can get sued for it. In this case, there's a little bit of a twist going into that, but yes, he was sued and is planning, has to go to jail for, I think it is 3 months or something like that, for libel. And he is the part owner of a very, very big magazine corporation. So what ends up happening is he wants to separate himself from the magazine so that the magazine doesn't have backlash from his actions. And so this man who's in charge of a very large corporation ends up contacting him about researching into the murder of his niece, I believe it is, that happened in like the 1960s or something like that. And this is, I would say, I think this is supposed to be like the 2000s, early to mid 2000s. So yeah, that's basically how the story starts, and there's a bunch of different characters. So there's like Michael Blomkvist, I don't know how to pronounce like any of the names because they're all kind of weird Swedish names, who is the journalist, and then There is, let's see, Henrik Vanger, who's the guy that is the owner of the big corporation. There is Lisbeth Salinger, I believe her last name is pronounced, and she is known as the girl with the dragon tattoo. So she ends up meeting Michael along the way, and she helps him. She's a hacker. Won't say anything else about her because she's kind of like the mysterious character in the whole thing. I apologize for my dog barking. Basically, in the beginning of it, it's kind of confusing because you don't expect all of the characters to, you know, intertwine and really fit in with each other, and you're like, okay, is it gonna be like 4 different stories as one right now, or are they ever going to connect together? And so, yeah, but in the end, they all kind of like intertwine, and it all makes a lot of sense. Though he does throw you for a loop at the end. I was not expecting the culprit of the whole thing, so yeah, I'm not going to say any more about that, but I would definitely recommend it if you are a pretty advanced reader. Some of the material is a little bit of a struggle, not only with mature content, but with just the way he writes. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the book. I'd probably give it like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It wasn't the best book I've read because I'm not personally a fan of realistic fiction, but it was definitely a very well written book and had a very interesting story. I definitely like the more of like murder mystery realistic fiction rather than just like those kind of sappy romance ones, so I don't know. Anyways, if you guys like these videos, I think they're a little bit quicker than my other videos, so if you like them, then please give them a thumbs up and comment other video ideas down below. If you like being outside or seeing me outside, give this a thumbs up too. I also forgot to tell you guys that my last video will be on the left side and my last vlog will be on the right side. And also subscribe if you haven't already, and my social media links are down below as well as on the screen right now. Hi. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.